Okay, part two of the video blog. So here we go. Um, so so I worked in San Jose. Many of you know I worked in the music business. Worked there for 12 years. We went from a small 150-person room, Marsugi's, to the Edge, 1,000-seater, all ages. Um, Music was a lot of fun. Um, Saw a lot of different things. A lot of different bands, a lot of different types of people, good people, hardworking people, um, bands that would play in shitty practices, or a lot of touring bands coming in there, and you just wonder how the hell are they traveling around across the country in a beat up van, but they got out of that same van and tired and probably hungry and you want a shower, hot shower, meal, but they would get there, load in, and set up their equipment and play and move on to the next town. You couldn't help but respect that, um, which is one of the reasons why um, I don't like the talent shows like The Voice or American Idol or well, now the X Factor, now that it's gone belly up. Um, but I like the ground roots. They start from the very bottom, like have a dream, and they go chase it and work hard for it. Because of the people that were behind the scenes in clubs, and they, um, you know, be lighting, security, club manager, um, someone like myself who was a talent buyer, um, you know, whatever was needed done got done. And we meet a lot of different types of people in this atmosphere. Um, you get people who are very knowledgeable about the bands, so they come out and support the bands. You get a lot of clubsters, hipsters that show up whenever there's something super cool going on there, so they're part of the scene, there to be seen. Sometimes you have people that would show up to only super popular shows where everybody knew that there was going to be a ton of people. They show up for that. And then they got the other ones who would show up when there was nobody, didn't know anybody know what the band was. And you got those guys supporting them. Um, and you had when I went to the Edge, you had the groupies. Uh, Saw a lot of that. And they came different styles, different types. It wasn't just like a girl, looking to sleep with a band member. A groupie could be someone who was just totally die hard with the band, or the type of music, and they would show up to that, or someone who just wanted to be part of the club scene. They would hang up flyers. They would they offer to do runs for you to get supplies or whatnot. Everybody wants to belong, in the club scene. Um, so some were good at it. I mean, I had a lot of people who helped me out a lot, help flyers and help me publicize and whatnot, and that was great. And I let them in, we let them in shows, me and Jimmy. Um, at that Marsugi's, I know Phil Maresca was, you know, he was very gracious to me. He let me go in there and see a lot of his shows, but I would also go out there and help publicize his show or whatnot, bring a friend or two. So this being part of the scene, there's a lot of different aspects to it. And then you have some people who they really wanted to fit in. Um, they wanted to fit in, but they just didn't know how. Um, they didn't play an instrument. They um, they just didn't. They weren't part of a band. They weren't part of a scene. They didn't know what they liked, how they liked. Um, Sometimes they would hold a little show, try to do it promoting because that always seems the easiest. And Jimmy can back me up here. How if we had $1 for every time someone says, "I could do what you do and do it better," well, I would have, I'd be a millionaire. Um, it's not that easy, and especially if you're a club owner, someone like Jacek Rosicki or Phil Maresca or Mike Trippett, the three gentlemen I um, knew back in San Jose: Chris Esparza, Chris Elliman, Larry Trujillo, Blank Club. It's not easy. It takes a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to run a venue. Um, a lot of times it doesn't work out. Sometimes the club will come out there and it has the best of intentions, so it just won't make it. Um, but the point is that everyone wants to be part of a cool scene. Whether it be music, could be writing. Like people who write books, they want to be, they want to publicize their work, want to be known, um, and some will want to be part of a movies, film. Um, I don't know what's that's like. I don't know that many filmmakers. I've talked to a few independent ones. Never talked to a major. Swap. I am here and there with a few directors, but never. I don't know enough to know the community. I've talked to several actors. That's a little different. I've interviewed a lot of those, and I tweeted with a few. Um, some are friends, and I'm very proud to say I do have friends that do act. That's fun, but it's all about respect, and it's all about you know knowing your limitations. Um, Basically, you have to know where to draw the line and stay within yourself. And some people can do that, and some people do not. Some people become stalkers. Some people will lie. They'll claim fame that's not theirs, uh, and just to belong, just to be accepted by some people on some level. Uh, some people are extremely delusional about this, and while I personally had just scraped on a couple, as far as that goes, I've only had three incidents of stalking. Not me. No one cared about. No one cared about me enough to stalk. So, but I did have three different encounters with people who were stalking artists. Um, the most well-known one was at the Oasis. The Oasis was 1,200 seater in San Jose. It was my first club I worked for, Yasik, and it was a big room, and we had some pretty good shows there, and really good shows. We had Chris Isaac there, and we had Negative Land, we had the Pleasure Barons, and wow, I mean Roger Troutman and Zapp, uh, uh, even Casey and the Sunshine Band. But we had a lot of fun at the venue, and one of the things was I would on top of the national acts that we would get, I would book some locals, and sometimes I got lucky and I was able to get some of the very best local acts. So, in part three, I'll explain my stalker story at the Oasis, and then I'll segue into something else entirely. So, stick around, and this will be part two, and I'll look forward to you in part three on the flip side.